And you and I were talking at length during the game about specifically Bakasura. I love Bakasura and what he's doing right now, but it's a very interesting case where he's not your typical assassin. He doesn't have the long range, but he's devastating to jump in front of. And so as we were watching Dignitas bang their head against the wall over and over again, a big part of what stopped them from really successfully finding the entrance into the Phoenix is the fact that Baka can kind of just like vomit out the minions and kill you right then and there. But it's a very different story if they were on the offensive.
I think that had Zyrhoes basically kept making those multiple attempts to try and single target because Dignitas realized this isn't working out as a group effort.
Sure.
Let's try to get some split push going by separating NRG's attention, maybe see if we can divert a little bit more pressure this way. But it ended up being impossible pretty much for NRG to basically hold out, or I should say for Dignitas to continue withstanding those NRG holdouts. And I think NRG also, they started to feel a little bit overconfident because they felt as though they could actually push in since they were so successful on those sieges.
Yep. Well, game number 2 on the way. P's and B's with John and Ryan. Let's get right to it. Ready, set, go.
Thanks, Tom and Taco, as we move into the picks and bans here for game 2. NRG just took a bit of a punch to the mouth, I feel like, after really a great series of defenses in a row where they kind of go, they get a little bit ahead of themselves, can't quite find Qvo, and Dignitas take the win.
Man, well earned for Dignitas,
yes,
for sure. But now NRG's got to try and bounce back. And this is a team that can. They either come out with a vengeance in these games usually, where they have these frustrating losses, or they do have tendencies to roll over at times as well and kind of let that frustration get the better of them. So I'm interested to see which one they're going to let happen this time around.
And this would be rare, right? The back-to-back losses for NRG. That does not happen to them often, I feel like.
No.
And I mean like from the rival set into this one. So,
right.
So that would be something that we don't see from the loss. I expect them, like you said, to come out swinging. And they think that to get that done, you ban away the Zhonghui and the Artemis. Fran Turnabout banned on the other side, so Baron, Naja, all still available.
Both open, and I'm curious, adapting, definitely a big Naja player, can absolutely pilot it, and that is where energy's going to go. I think this is wise. That being said, I think the Variety had arguably the most effective Baron yet, so that is scary to give that over to him and see how he does with it again.
Well, Baron has been picked up right away. I was wondering here, Ryan, if we might see something about this Morrigan that Zyrhoes was going to be playing, you know, if there's any kind of adaptation that they want to make there. But at
I
this
think they
point,
take it here.
It's something that could still be taken, but Dignitas want to go with the Baron Sobek here instead.
Interesting. So I really don't think Baron's going anywhere but solo lane. Variety, a big fan of this god. This Sobek is, I don't want to let him have it again because it's really difficult to siege against and does so much for the enemy team. We'll put it in support, and that'll work for us. Won't have that same level of balance that we had in the last game with the Yama support, but we can get by.
Bruh, you want to know one way you can tell that NRG's back is against
Yeah, they don't want to lose. Yeah, they don't want to lose. Okay, cool.
emilitoo pulls out Chronos. And
you good with game 3, by the way?
Yeah. If
right,
history tells me anything, the game has ended just now, by the way. Yeah, it's over already.
Yep.
Fafnir comes in next too, but why break that down any further? But in all honesty though, this Fafnir's going to work great with this Chronos. emilitoo just plays it on such another level, doesn't he? And it's not just in lane; he makes weird rotations with it too early on.
The dude just, I don't get it. There's no level of analysis I can give you because the plays that he makes literally don't register in my brain. I see them, and my brain goes, that was good, and I don't know why, and so I say that, and I mean it.
And it wouldn't work for anyone else, by the way. Don't try.
Absolutely not, under any circumstances. No way.
Serqet's going to come in for Dignitas, and I love the idea of giving this one over to QvoFred. If I can get someone that can carry a game into QvoFred's hands, I'm doing it every single time. In fact, Dignitas has some nice priority picks so far. The Sobek, Baron, and the Serqet, all quite formidable.
I don't know. I really think that Baron, Morrigan, and then Serqet feels a little bit better to me. I mean, yes, NRG just played Sobek, and maniaKK did very well with it, but Chronos, I think they're definitely going that there, and if they're going Chronos, they're likely picking Fafnir in that spot. We obviously have the information of hindsight 2020. Maybe NRG switch it up if Sobek's in that area and they don't pick Chronos in that spot. But the Morrigan was, so instrumental to what Dignitas did in game 1. I am surprised they went with a different direction here.
They're going to put a soul along with that to give them a little bit more magical damage. Be surprised now, or at least I'm curious to see if they do still want to pick up a hunter, if they want to have soul do that, if they just want to go the soul mage instead and put that in the mid lane. They still have some options. I feel like their draft, we're still not 100% where everything Dig has to go.
I feel like they need a physical hunter, and it will be Ram. I really thought that might have been on her. That's what I was thinking for Arkkyl. Arkkyl is an on her monster. I think on her is in a really, really good spot right now after the recent buffs. And in NRG banned it in game 1. It punishes the mostly immobile Chronos. I think that on her would have been a great pick, but Ram is much more about getting that lane pressure, which is something you want to do against Chronos, who, if he gets on a roll, can be very difficult to stop.
Well, who do you all think is going to win this game? Go ahead and vote for us in the polls now. Is NRG going to go down 2-0, or can they force their way to the game 3? Remember, that is a Chronos for emilitoo, so might want to lean a little bit towards NRG.
Yeah, it's tough to vote against, though it isn't undefeated by any stretch. Plenty of teams have managed to take it down, but more often than not, that Chronos comes out and NRG does well.
NRG often play well when they have their picks. Let's see if they can do well here in this game. We're ready to move into game 2. NRG up against Dignitas. And again, those last 2 picks that came through, the Chulainn and the Janus for NRG. Yammyn, I feel like, these are just all really strong comfort picks that are available here now for NRG, right? The Chronos there for emilitoo, Yammyn on this Janus, adapting on NRG. If there's a game they could win here, I feel like these are the picks to do it.
NRG's comp is nasty here. I mean, they got one of, if not the best gods in the game right now in NRG. They have emilitoo on a signature pick, Yammyn on a signature pick, maniaKK on a signature pick, emilZy on a signature pick, and that's one to feel pretty good about. And they all work well together. That's the big thing, is the right side of the map has pressure so that you can focus on that and let emilitoo get that free farm. You're drawing QvoFred to that right-hand side ideally so that he isn't putting any pressure on emilitoo because he has to defend his own jungle camps. You can try and kill this Baron early and often, which is something that I think NRG really needs to do a little bit better job of than they did in game 1. So this draft works well in unison. Whenever emilitoo gets in trouble, Yammyn's ultimate can be there to help him out. These are things that work together and are comfort selections for these players.
And you mentioned trying to pressure this Baron early on. I would not be surprised if that's what we see. maniaKK is going with the more common now Warrior tab by Rush, where he's got the boots too. He's going to be backing as soon as he has enough gold, teleporting back in with that Warrior tab by to rock and roll and do a ton of extra damage in lane. And that could be something that could potentially cause some problems for Baron, who doesn't have the greatest clear right away. So let's see if this Warrior is enough to bully him out.
Trix actually gets the beads away from emilitoo. That was beautiful, just using his pluck. I think he was just using it for CC immunity, so he didn't get stunned. And yes, emilitoo would have been tossed back, but I don't think there was a whole lot of kill potential there for Team Dignitas. No sprint 3. Instead, it's an upgraded shell for the NRG boys. So I don't know, pretty crazy.
QvoFred in a little bit of trouble, has been forced to use beads early on by adapting in Yammyn's pressure. So that means here in the middle lane, it's favoring the other side.
Nice
now we've got more aggression here in dual lane. Trixtank has to use the shell early on.
Uh-oh.
Arkkyl repositioning, but going the wrong way with the roll.
No, Arkkyl, not like this. Beads already used. That won't be enough to save his life. emilitoo gets first blood. Trixtank gets his dash interrupted, but could have gotten away long enough, though it looks like NRG still wants that second kill. Arkkyl rolls, and his toe steps across the line. It's an unfortunate circumstance there for Dignitas' ADC that really does set the whole tone of this game. Now Emil has a lead.
But could it have gone any other way? NRG in danger of going
if
down 0-2.
emilitoo's playing, I don't know, Apollo.
Right, that doesn't happen.
That doesn't happen. Arkkyl, it hits the screech stop right before the line and doesn't take any tower shots.
But this is what I'm talking about. There's some unhidden stats we don't know about here, right? I mean, emilitoo getting first blood with NRG's back against the wall, about to go down 0-2 on this Chronos, where it feels like they just can't lose on it sometimes. Already off to a really good start. And Arkkyl and Trixtank, for what it's worth, they don't seem deterred. It is just emilZy here in lane for now, so of course they can play with pressure, but they don't seem to have let that go to their heads yet. It's only one kill. emilitoo certainly hasn't run away with this yet.
I like what emilZy's doing here. Doesn't back to get boots 2, which he probably could have afforded, but instead it just sticks around to keep Trix and Arkkyl a little bit poked out, because here comes adapting.
He's going to go with the ring bounce first. Arkkyl already rolling away, but Sash is right there waiting for him. Adapting doesn't have windfire wheels.
Nice pluck.
And Trixtank lands some very good peel with that pluck to just barely get Arkkyl away from his second death.
But that's big by adapting that rotation over here. And instead of pressuring that right-hand side, I was expecting to see adapting on the right, trying to kill variety. But you have two different options when you have pressure in that solo lane. You can go over and try and utilize that to get kills and invades. But you could also trust that your pressure warrior is going to be able to hold their own, even at a 2v1 at times, and be able to get their own buffs and not lose any farm because of it. And then you can use your early game to go to the left-hand side and affect your losing lane matchup. And that's what adapting has chosen to do. Probably a good choice because it's emilitoo. on this Chronos, and now that is a much bigger lead. Arkkyl's already had to go back to base twice in the first 4 minutes.
emilitoo already has quite a bit of pressure over here in the dual lane as well. Look how quickly he's clearing and now forcing Arkkyl to back off. And you got to think at a certain point, when you see NRG going to this Chronos, when they feel like they just absolutely need a win, that must make you want to win more than ever, right? You want to shut that down. Chronos isn't invincible, not against us, but already it can kind of creep into the head a little bit. And emilitoo's looking very strong on it.
Now, to be fair to Dignitas, they've got great late game of their own. Soul, phenomenal in the late game, one of the best you could have. Ram fits that same bill, so both of these gods can do great work in the late game, whereas Chulainn, not exactly what you're looking for a lot of the time. Janus, very high variance, either amazing or doesn't do a whole lot for you. At that stage of the game, Naja has fallen off, depending on what Adapting wants to go for. He could go for the big, Deathbringer, Malice, Titan's Bane. If I hit my ultimate on you, you're dead, even if you're full health sort of build. But usually in competitive play, that isn't very forgiving, and you'll see players go for more shifter shields and void shields and spirits robes and things of that nature to give yourself some extra degree of safety. So Naja won't be as effective at that point in the game. I do think that NRG needs to have some sort of lead going into the later stages.
I agree.
We can't see another 20-minute turtle, is what I'm trying to say.
Not with these picks. There's absolutely no reason to. His beads are forced from QvoFred. Yet again, he's been under duress all game long. That's just what Naja can do to you, is variety.
Something Naja brings.
Yeah, that's one of Naja's things. That's one of his bits, is that he's really good at taking your beads away from you as they get some pressure into variety over in solo lane as well. Adapting has sort of been free to go wherever it is that he wants to go in the map. He hasn't been able to find a kill off of it just yet, but I wouldn't be surprised now. He's got the Windfire wheels. He's forced a few beads. If we see that coming from him very soon.
Adapting's hunting for QvoFred right now, but unbeknownst to Adapting, Qvo is on the left-hand side of the map, and he is the one doing the hunting onto Yammyn potentially. Mostly here for these left-side mid-harpies, but you'll see him walk around that corner just in case he feels like Yammyn's going to walk in, and that could be certain kill potential for Dignitas' jungler. Instead, he'll take the guaranteed farm, while Adapting will strip away some of his farm on the right.
And I want to keep my eye on if Trixtank, continues to rotate like this, or if that's just because emilZy's kind of forced his hand. They're behind a bit in duo lane. Having the supports over there to kind of try and help that out a bit, so Arkkyl isn't trying to stand up against emilitoo alone right now, could be nice, so he doesn't potentially end up getting bullied by this Chronos. But instead, he's trying to help out here in this sort of mid lane and not let Adapting run away with pressure.
That's not a bad idea. I do think that right now Arkkyl doesn't really want any help at this point, because he is in some danger of dying just based on the pen booth for emilitoo with the slight level lead up against Arkkyl, who went for the Devourer's Gauntlet rush, so he doesn't have nearly as much mobility. That is a bit concerning, but Arkkyl really just needs to get those stacks up. And once he gets those stacks and is able to finish his boots, he might have some degree of kill potential, depending on where emilitoo is in that Warlock staff stack.
That's right. A lot of trust he has here in Arkkyl to be able to maintain this lane, even up against emilitoo's pressure right now. And we'll see if they can get the most out of that. As that portal might not have been the idea there for Yammyn. Not much value coming from it, and Adapting continuing to strip away farm from QvoFred. Between him and maniaKK, they have so much pressure on this side, they can continue to move over into the jungle of Dig.
Now, right side mid harpy, one left standing, because Yammyn got a little spooked from where QvoFred was coming, as Adapting could have gone for an ultimate right off of that portal, but was a little bit too locked in on making sure the mid harpies went down in their favor. That felt like the dropped kill for NRG.
I'm farming, bro. I don't know about you, but I guess Adapting's trying to get those mid camps. But I agree, Trixtank was dead to rights there, I think. And I guess at that point they decided they didn't want to all in onto the Sobek. Maybe they didn't have enough information about where anyone else was on the map at that moment either, and didn't want to commit too many abilities, but certainly looked like a kill as emilitoo has to rewind.
That's just emilitoo knowing, I'm good, I'll use rewind, no beads necessary. Won't be able to get that full combo off without getting that getting that auto attack in. Now, as that Cobra's Kiss gets leveled, that's going to do more damage, and maybe he can't be quite so gung-ho about holding on to the purification beads. But Emil trading ultimates there with QvoFred. Both players feeling okay after that, because now NRG doesn't have to worry about the one-shot potential from Serqet to meet up with Qvo in the jungle, and emilitoo is actually vulnerable for a little bit in that dual lane. Now is
Right.
where I'd be setting Trixtank over.
That's great, though, isn't it? Because there's really not much Qvo can do over on the solo side of the map, it kind of feels like right now, with adapting, trying to be there on cooldown to steal away his farm. So if you think that he's maybe relegated to the left-hand side, to be able to still make sure something efficient is happening for his team is excellent from QvoFred to go kind of force the ultimate out from emilitoo to try and make things a little bit easier for Arkkyl to catch up since he's down about a level and a half, at least XP-wise here so far. QvoFred always making the most out of it, I feel like, in the jungle.
That is what Serqet can do as well. Is can really pick her spots very, very easily. You have kill potential on every lane, on every character on the entire map. And that's a good feeling that not all assassins have. Naja can have that same potential, but Serqet really does embody that ability. But it does cost her. Her late game team fights aren't very good. Once you start to group up, it can be very difficult. If you're running at Serqet, you don't have a way to deal damage and run away simultaneously. You're using your escape, which is your main primary source of damage. So there are things that she drops, but this is not a Serqet is not really good argument, because that would be a losing one.
Absolutely. Serqet's fantastic, and everyone should know that. That's not a good place to start if you're trying to win over some hearts here. But as we approach the 10-minute mark again, it's been a bit slow. We were saying that with a Naja, Chulainn, that we didn't really want to see NRG kind of sitting on their hands this early on. Now they did just kind of finish the Jotuns for adapting. The Runing Shield came in for Maniac. They've hit some power spikes here, so they certainly could still kind of jump into action. But it hasn't felt like they've been looking for a lot of shots. The shot on Trixtank they didn't even shoot the ball.
No, they didn't take it. Well, at this point, now is where I think NRG might start to put the gas up a little bit.
Sure.
Yammyn finished Chronos Pendant, so he's able to use that ultimate kind of willy-nilly and not really worry about how effective it really is, because it'll be up sooner rather than later. Emil is finally stacking up that Warlock staff, getting already a quarter of the way to being fully stacked. Once level 12 hits, NRG gets a lot more scary because adapting can pick up Blink, which I expect to see, and that is very difficult for people to really handle. Zyrhoes now on red alert for getting ulted in the mid lane. I think that NRG is still okay. As I said, I don't think that they can turtle as hard as they did in game 1 and expect to win with this composition, but they can certainly have the mid to late game without a big lead.
Nice poke coming out from NRG, at least on those left side harpies, but again, no real follow-up on the back end of that, just trying to see if they can contest over some farm. They've got excellent vision on the left-hand side of the map, around the Gold Fury, around the purple buffs, and deep into the jungle, so emilitoo can feel safe on that side, but they're not really aggressive. They're not wards to get vision on to try and free it up so NRG can go into the jungle. That looks like to try and make sure that they can make sure they're not the ones getting aggressed on.
Now NRG has to kind of decide if that's where they want to take the next fight. Is it around Gold Fury? They've got a great composition to burn Gold Furies quickly, because AoE Coerce very clearly going to help the Chronos, but also really helps adapting. When he pops that Flaming Spear, he gets a lot of damage very quickly. That auto chain hits really hard, and if you add Flaming Spear attack speed plus Coerce, adapting can do this Gold Fury even more quickly than Chronos can.
A bit of a grouping. Dignitas have 4 members here on the right-hand side of the map as adapting gets the beads forced out, and maniaKK is going to drop the ultimate for the 2-man knock-up, but again, it feels like a bit of a soft commit here. Neither one of these teams really want to all in, but again, the beads from adapting is a win for Dig.
Absolutely. Plus maniaKK using that ultimate in that spot, just in case Dignitas wanted to fight. Now, he's not too worried about having that down. It's really just a rage-gathering tool. Majority of the time, it's Arkkyl taking quite a bit of damage from emilitoo. He's not going to be able to win those trades much longer. Now, he will get a little bit more lifesteal, marginally so. One more stack, going to make a huge difference, let me tell you. But it's really more that emilitoo is getting tankier and tankier.
emilZy trying to box it out with QvoFred over those harpies. Not a whole lot that's going to come from that, but Trixtank, who just passed him, does have that Oni Scarb. I feel like we've been seeing a little bit more of this lately.
Interesting.
And I got to think it's because of that damage mitigation it provides, right? That's a stat you can't get in a lot of places.
Here's another stat that you can't really get. For tier 3 item, this is 1900 gold. The end. It's got 4.
That's pretty good,
It's
yeah.
got 4 stats on it for 1900 gold. They could all read 1, and I'd be like, well, it's really cheap. Like, how much am I really losing in this spot? It's the biggest deal. Yes, the plucking into the enemy team, getting yourself 6% damage mitigation, very, very good. 60 magical protection is really nice against Yammyn and emilitoo. Did I mention it's 1900 gold yet?
Yeah, you led with it, and you know what? I was one over there, as you mentioned, and I think it is a strong item for them to pick up here. for Trixtank in particular, who almost certainly is going to be the one that's in the midst of the fray. As you said, this gives him a nice, efficient stepping stone as well to get a lot of tankiness sort of up front, whereas emilZy kind of backloaded is. He went with the Gauntlet of Thieves, has been waiting a little while to get those stacks up. So Trixtank, at least up against, emilitoo, Yammyn, emilZy, the likes of those, he should be able to shrug it off pretty well.
Exactly, and now he can work towards, you can even go Gauntlet of Thieves in this spot, right? You're already so naturally tanky that you don't have that low power spike sort of area where you're really squishy and you're kind of nervous about how much damage everyone's going to do to you. You don't have to worry about that as much, and you're providing an aura once it's complete against those same people, which can be really good. Yeah, you probably would have built at least a little bit of physical defense against Adapting, but he's going to shred it pretty well anyways.
Trixtank takes quite a bit of poke, but Yammyn takes way more in the middle lane. He's already on the retreat path. QvoFred with the blink, forced out through space and time, but the actual last breath poison still ticks on him. The question just is it enough?
No, not even close.
Yeah, easy.
Yammyn knew it all the way.
QvoFred takes quite a few chunks, but it's emilitoo who's in the wrong spot. Aegis keeps him alive for a moment. Rewind is going to allow him to reposition. He actually goes too far forward, and the rest Dignitas is right there.
It's still up until Arkkyl puts him down with the shots from the sky. emilZy doing what he can. Adapting should be able to finish off Trixtank, indeed he does, but a great Cobra's Kiss on the backside from QvoFred takes down the solo.
I said it before, these assassins want to get lost. That's exactly what QvoFred was able to do as he jumps right into the back line, finds 2 low health targets and kills them both. Now with a 1v3, that means they got 4 members up, only 2 for energy. They're going to grab this Gold Fury easily. What a play from Dignitas off catching emilitoo in the jungle.
Yeah, emilitoo just a little bit odd with that positioning there. I think he was trying to bait a fight for energy, or at least I hope he was with that sort of positioning. Does a good rewind, and Dignitas, I was kind of, in my mind, I was getting ready to criticize how they, yeah, rewind's coming, but you've got 4 people there. Just hit the dude, and with auto attacks.
They were going to disengage, Ryan.
They were thinking about it, yeah, and then all of a sudden, emilitoo pops up at their doorstep. Y'all mind if I'm here? And Variety says, well, yeah, kinda. You got to come in through the door, and shows him the door with the coffin.
And for me, that's a really surprising misstep, because it's one thing to be up there at those mid-harpies if your rewind path takes you back towards your own red buff, right?
Right.
But his rewind path took him back up towards them.
Well, at some point, you don't have a choice, right? Like, that's the way you walked. It's not like
but
you'd be
that's
like...
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be mindful of what your last 7 seconds were, right, when you're playing emilitoo, when you're playing Chronos.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And ML loses not only his life, but both relics and the ultimate. Now, the ultimate's coming up pretty darn soon here, but already Dignitas looking pretty good. Now, for all that fanfare, Dig's still even so far. So not the end of the world for energy. Dignitas has a very, very marginal lead.
QvoFred does drop the last breath. That does get the through space and timeout from Yammyn, as well as maniaK's ultimate, as the tier 1 tower and left does eventually get forced down. As you mentioned, emilitoo doesn't look like he just took a spill, does he? He certainly still has all the pressure in dual lane with Adapting's help as they open up a little bit more space and some more gold for the whole team.
That's one of emilitoo's greatest strengths as a player. Make no mistake, he makes really weird, sometimes just outright wrong, stupid plays. It happens. I mean,
Sure.
he does have a penchant for it. But he'll never play like that just happened. He never loses that momentum. He never loses that confidence. He'll feed his brains out and step up and be ready for the next fight. And I think that's a really good quality to have as a pro player. Sure, you'd like to cut down on the weird mistakes, but if you're going to make them, I don't want you to play like you made them.
Yeah, we talked about that way longer than emilitoo did. That is already long gone.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
him. As Zyrhoes is, I kind of want to talk about the other, sort of auto-attacking mage here a little bit. We see souls, I feel like a lot of the time just go straight up magical damage, like just like a mage, and the auto-attacks are a plus. But these rings getting picked up, so Zyrhoes is showing at least some love towards that side of it.
Yeah, I've always been more of a magical damage, not an auto-attack sort of proponent for Soul. I don't know. Maybe it's that I don't hit my auto attacks. I know I don't, but I just feel like Soul always has had both options viable.
Right.
Then the most recent balance changes to her were a while ago at this point, but it was to nerf that auto attack level. It's her heat level, the passive, what she gets from it. But her actual damage didn't change on her 2 and 4 combo, which is enough to basically one-shot someone in the late game with an auto attack thrown in. I do think that I've come around a little bit. I think that Telkines is very good on her. I think that you can make that work pretty well. Demonic is more attractive now that it has more power. Before it was 45 power or something just abysmal on that item. Now fits the curve. a little bit better. It's just a matter of, will I be able to actually trade auto attacks with this composition? And that's where, again, I don't really know that Zyrhoes can safely. It's going to be difficult for him to do so with a Naja on top of him. Yammyn is so slippery. How many auto attacks are you getting on him? maniaKK is the big one. If he can sit there and auto attack maniaKK, maniaKK's just going to hold W, run at him the whole time, then that's where this demonic grip will get its most value.
Talked about it already, but there really still hasn't been much of an action here from NRG, I feel like, Ryan. The one big fight that we just saw was really more of emilitoo being caught out a little bit more than anything else, more than Dignitas really looking for the initiation. In fact, I honest to goodness think they were going to leave until he rewinded sort of back towards them. And not that the rewind was the wrong call, but, you know, that sort of positioning worked out in their favor. Are we going to see them trying to start something up here in a moment as Trixtank is able to dash away from the stun?
ML still needs to get some pen, probably, before they feel really comfortable fighting with him, but it's coming sooner rather than later, so it won't be too long now, I imagine, for NRG. Adapting's picked up the Shield of Regrowth, which everyone is loving on Naja now, by the way.
I like too, by the way.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's fun. I do think that it severely hampers your damage, but it's not particularly expensive. You get 300 health, 10% CDR, some HP5 and MP5, which no one really needs to write home about. But every time you press your 2, you're getting 40% movement speed, which is an awful lot. And Naja already so quick around the map that it really does become very hard to lock you down.
And it's interesting, too, because we've seen a lot of Najas in these last few days building not for damage at all. They've been building very much like utility or defensive builds, which is where I like the Shield of Growth, because as you said, it is a ton of loss, I feel like, in your damage, even though he does get so much from the passive. But this time, it looks like Adapting is trying to build for damage, and he's got the Shield of Regrowth kind of thrown in there as like a little bit of extra survivability plus that extra movement speed.
Interesting. maniaKK just cleared the blue and then teleported in towards Gold Fury right away. Maybe a little bit concerned, but NRG had ward coverage in that spot. If he wanted to come over here, sure, but I feel like he could have just backed and walked. At this point, I mean, he certainly would have been to red buff by now if he would have backed and walked there, but instead his teleport cooldown is down, and how often do we see fights turned by warriors and solo laners who get low and then are able to back to base and teleport back in? That's a pretty substantial loss for NRG. Dignitas obviously doesn't know this. No one had vision on him when he teleported in. But now Dignitas has a couple options. Try and force the fight. That'll be a little bit better for them, even if they don't know it. Or look at that right-hand side. That's a big wave going in. Send someone over there. maniaKK's going to have to hoof it if he wants to defend.
Team Dignitas are pushed up rather far forward. Trixtank not going to be able to find the pluck onto emilZy, but Adapting will get some nice ring bounce damage onto Zyrhoes and to Variety. QvoFred, though, way more importantly, wants emilitoo. Arkkyl right there with the autos. Last breath is waiting, but Rewind is going to heal emilitoo back up. Arkkyl goes up looking for the shots as emilitoo's in a bad part of town.
No third shot there. Arkyl's got to roll away as Trix here to support Variety is trying to keep maniaKK busy and away from the fight as Adapting's ultimate immune by Arkkyl.
Has the Aegis to keep him alive, but Zyrhoes wants to hunt him down. emilitoo finds a kill, but Zyrhoes trades it immediately by taking out the enemy jungler. Trixtank goes right back in, but he's going to need some support because emilZy keeps breathing on him, and maniaKK finds the kill.
Oh, great portal, but it's not enough. Qvo does end up getting that kill onto emilitoo and jukes out the Unstable Vortex. Qvo's out of there for now.
QvoFred able to reposition, and a nice heal coming out from Variety as well to keep him topped off. It's two that have been lost on each side to a 3 against 3. Variety, QvoFred, and Zyrhoes still looking relatively healthy, and they're hunting for targets. maniaKK looks like the option, but Zyrhoes is alone here now.
No way he's able to get that kill. Qvo thinking about this kill potentially onto emilZy, but I think it's time to just split up and farm now. You can tell, like, Qvo, I feel for him, man, because he ganks emilitoo on the left-hand side, and it was flawless. That's exactly what you want to do. And you see him use the abilities and then wait it out, knowing that emilitoo is going to use relics and going to use rewind. And Qvo's just sitting there like, don't ult him. He's just going to rewind. Don't ult him. He's just going to rewind. I'm ulting him. Here we go. And then it just rewind right away, and now you've lost a big kill potential onto emilitoo, who got a much better rewind spot that time around, is able to get towards a lot more safety. And NRG does a great job of following where emilitoo is, not going to where he was under pressure, but where he is going to be under pressure after the rewind. It's almost like they've played with this god a whole lot.
One more time, though, we have another big fight, and it ends up going relatively even. Last time, Dignitas came away from it, I feel like, clearly the winners. This time, we can't say it so much. No one's able to grab the objective. It is 2 for 2 in each direction. And the gold lead's still relatively close, a little bit still in Dignitas' favor by about 1,200 or so, experience about 2,300, but still, I mean, this is even game. It feels like we're kind of looking at game one more time, right? Where Dignitas and NRG are sort of slowly letting this one happen, and we're going to get to that point where it can all just blow up from one big team fight.
That's how Europe likes it, man. They like to put all their chips in the pot at once. Maybe they're all gamblers like Hindu.
Gold Fury very, very low,
Gamble
adapting
here
here to try and change it. They do drop the ultimate, but Gold Fury was unleashed. Adapting brings Arkkyl back down. Aegis lets him live through Unstable Vortex, and emilZy cannot find
He's
the kill.
dead.
There we go, he dies from the dot.
Dot gets him. emilitoo going to use those portals, trying to chase down Qvo, who has
So
Magi,
fast.
so stun not going to work, but Trixtank in the thick of the fight, trying to chase down Adapting.
Zyrhoes going to keep up the fight, though. emilZy comes in looking for the disarm. Zyrhoes, though, in that disapparate. It's not enough. maniaKK shuts him down. Trixtank, the next one, up on this train of pain as NRG are between the tier 1 and the tier 2. They can't keep chasing any longer. They're going to have to fall back.
Variety still nice and healthy, but Trixtank far too low. Gold Fury could be an option here for NRG, but they are going to the wrong side of the map. They might be settling for a Pyromancer here. Could also be going just for Fire Giant. I mean, Yammyn's low on mana, but they're in a pretty healthy position to do so, and yeah, that's going to be the call. Variety, the only one alongside Qvo who can get here.
Well, he's got the coffin if he feels like that's going to be the tool he needs to try and get this fight started. Life for the party brings in emilZy. Yammyn finds QvoFred, and Adapting's able to take Variety up into the air, brings him right back down. Portal's waiting for him, and emilitoo swing, finds the autos. Variety's done. NRG have finally turned on the gas.
Man, it took a little bit, 24 minutes here into this one, but finally they get the ball rolling in their favor. Surprised that Variety and Qvo were even willing to try and get in there, because no way. Just like I was talking about in game 1, let's go best case scenario for Team Dignitas in that spot. They steal Fire Giant, both Variety and Qvo die. There is no world in which they don't both die by committing to try and steal that. And so it just doesn't end up doing a whole lot for you. Love that play from
Yes,
Yammyn.
excellent.
They get tier 2, and they force Arkkyl off Gold Fury and bring his whole team right here to grab it as soon as they can.
The goal for should now be going the way of NRG without any kind of contest. And a really just an excellent fight for them. NRG now have done such a good job of being able to sort of regroup. They've been waiting, and I've been wondering if they were going to be waiting for enough of an advantage for them really to be able to grab this fight out, but it looks like they've been able to do it. And the recognition to come force Fire Giant, not Gold Fury, not Pyromancer, Fire Giant. We're 24 minutes in, 5v3. Let's take the big boy objective, grab the tower, and really open this game up.
Because, again, going back to that, best case scenario for Dignitas is they steal Fire and lose. I'll be generous. You lose only one in that spot, but the other one's forced back to base. Can't NRG just do exactly what they did, which is go right side, get both towers because you're on respawn, then ult over to Gold Fury and get that?
Right.
Maybe they don't get gold, they don't get Pyromancer afterwards. Who cares? They still end up way ahead of you because Trixtank's the only one with Fire, and who cares about that? It's just good recognition of risk versus reward. Our reward is great. Our risk is very good anyways, so we may as well take this, not 50-50, but 60-40, 70-30 sort of chance, where I think a lot of teams in the past would have just gone, let's get gold and Pyro, keep it safe, good fight, let's see what we can do next.
Now going to try and force down this middle lane is going to be the call from NRG. Tier 1 tower, very obviously going to be going down. Weak and no one there to defend it. They do have emilitoo and emilZy over on the left-hand side, pushing down that tier 2, and the other 3 threatening the tier 2 in mid. And Dignitas trying to decide at this point where exactly they want to defend. They got to give this one up in left. emilitoo is chunking, no way to defend, and looking for their positioning. They don't care about the tier 2 in mid. They're just going to fall back to Phoenix.
This is where Chronos just becomes oppressive. I mean, how do you beat him in this spot? He has a decent chunk of health. He does a ton of damage. He shreds towers and phoenixes faster than anybody else in the game. And now you're wondering, how much longer is it going to take NRG to siege? Are they going to go through the same thing that Dignitas went through, having a tough time defending? I don't think so, because Team Dignitas' wave clear is not impressive with this team composition. That's a lot of defending against these phoenixes, is the ability to clear wave and poke simultaneously, or do those separately with 2 different gods. Dignitas has decent poke with Stellar Burst, sure. They've got good engage with Trixtank's Pluck, but Qvo's gonna have a tough time getting in, whereas NRG's got excellent poke. That Chronos Time Rift does a lot of damage even to tanks at this point in the game. Adapting's Ring Toss is phenomenal. Yammyn's gonna be throwing out Unstable Vortexes, and if you give emilitoo an inch, he'll take your Phoenix very quickly with that Coerce buff.
Well, Chronos kind of feels like trying to write a paper in one night, right? You're sitting there and you're like, how am I supposed to write this in 6 hours? And the answer is you aren't. You're supposed to have already started working on this Chronos a long time ago, and now it's just here to kind of kick you in the face. Chronos, at this point in the game, level 20, with all his rings, Bancross, Warlock staff, everything ready to go. He's just swinging so hard. You saw him waiting on the portal for whoever it is that adapting had up in the air to come back down. He's swinging so fast, so hard. It's really going to be rough for Dignitas to try and defend.
I once wrote a 20-page paper in one night. Not kidding. I went to 18 and said, this is good enough.
I can turn this in here. Do you remember thinking I should have started on this earlier?
Yes, I did think that. I drank like 5 energy drinks that night and was convinced I was dying. My body has never felt that bad in my entire... I've literally have not had an energy drink since.
This makes sense, though, because we have like a bunch of monster here at the studio, and Ryan will not touch it.
Ever. Nothing. I'm sorry, I just will not drink energy drinks. That was a horrendous experience. B+ on that paper, though.
Wow. And that's without finishing the whole thing. All right.
Yeah. Well, I was the type of dude that I went up to my professor and I was like, I know it said 20 pages, but I am convinced that I did all of the objectives. I just did it in 18. If you want to take points off for that, that's fine. But I feel like I did what I needed to do, and he agreed. That's why I lost those points and got a B+. He was like, you should have just made stuff up for those extra 2 pages. Sometimes you got to do that. And I was like, come on, dude.
Sometimes that's what you got to do, and
I'm not about
sometimes
that.
you got to defend a fire giant.
I should have started that paper earlier, though.
Yes,
do your homework.
Absolutely. Do your homework and try and
Go
slow
to
down
class.
Chronos earlier on.
Yeah.
A team like NRG, though, makes it really difficult for you as Variety drops the Consigned Spirits, able to get some nice poke onto Yammyn, and is going to fall back just a little bit. But it's NRG who control the vast majority of the space here, as well as the vision. Trixtank lands a nice pluck onto maniaKK, but Sam and Leap allows him to reposition, and really no harm, no foul.
From here, I just checked in with Adapting's build. It has been a little bit more defensive, though he did pick up that Titan's Bane to make sure that he's doing relevant damage to Trix and Variety where he can, which is just fine. He's really looking to get fights started with that ultimate,
right,
and then let the rest of his team do the bulk of the damage afterwards.
As long as he's able to find that big initiation, that's really what you want from Naja more than anything, is sort of that control from the Sash and from that ultimate as well. So that's what they'll look for, is Dignitas kind of clumped up a little bit. NRG aren't ready to start up this Fire Giant just yet. They're content to try and force Dignitas to this narrow choke path as emilitoo goes very far forward.
This is classic. There goes the through space and time as well, just to help out. Around the back, Trixtank getting CC'd. Yammyn taking care of Trix all by himself.
But there's no full collapse. Trixtank should be able to make it out of here without too much trouble. So they were able to get one person out of position from emilitoo's overcommitment there, but they weren't able to lock him down. Trixtank is able to fall back, but they should know he had to go all the way back to base, and that means a Pyromancer for NRG.
That time, emilitoo, no hesitation. No, I'm going to wait until he gets ready to ult me. I messed up, but I acknowledge that. Please forgive me, rewind. And it ends up working out for him. Did lose the purification beads, but NRG right back on fire.
maniaKK blinks in, 2-man knockup brings Zero quite low, and he has to fall all the way back. QvoFred is going to be the furthest member forward of his team, and maniaKK makes him rethink it. Variety now the one in potential to get collapsed on. Still holding on to the life of the party, but he's brought down to half health. Control jumps up on top of the coffin and is able to bring in 2.
Good Aegis from emilitoo, saves him for the moment, but Qvo does end up getting that kill as Variety already fallen. Adapting so patient with that ultimate. How does he still have it?
He managed to weave through the fight and somehow find Arkkyl right there waiting as Yammyn to blow him up with the through space and time, and the whole team repositions and catches QvoFred in the backside. There's no way they take down the jungler. Now they want Trixtank as well. The lockdown's all waiting. Yammyn has the damage, and maniaKK finds the kill.
Unreal from NRG. I mean, every other team in the league just Naja ults the Baron there and gets the guaranteed kill, right? No, not NRG. Not only am I going to save my Windfire wheels for a better time, not only am I going to have it at the right time exactly to kill Arkkyl and make sure that we win the team fight and the game by extension, but oh yeah, Yammyn's going to hit a 1,000 damage through space and time off of it that also just happens to provide perfect portals so we wipe the team.
That's crazy.
Who would have guessed?
The whole team goes to the portal, collapse on the backside, get QvoFred, the Titan, and NRG, of course, when they lock in Chronos. Who had any doubt that we were going to be moving over to the Game 3? Variety is going to respawn, but only to have a nice view of what is his inevitable loss here. NRG Esports should be able to clean this up. Well, I say that,
I don't know,
but maybe
bitch.
not. Variety's done a great job defending. This is not the game, not just yet.
Oh no, Variety respawns. He truly is the life of the party, and the party don't stop until he says it does. The double kill, won by pulling someone into the fountain, the other with the ticks of the damage on the other side. Did anyone on NRG stop DPS on that Titan? Because I'm pretty sure they did.
They're hoping that they did not, though, as they realize this game is going to keep going for a little while longer. And really, the reason why I felt so comfortable in that in-call there was not just because there were 5 members of them, but they had a ton of minions as well.
Yeah,
I thought they had more than enough to get that done, but Dignitas should be able to grab the Fire Giant and keep this game alive. NRG going to have to play a little bit more defense now.
That one hurts for NRG. I'd have to look at the replay because I was standing up, buttoning my jacket, wiping my nose, making sure I was looking good for when the camera shot came to me. It didn't see if NRG had stopped DPS. But in that spot, this is where understanding how Baron works and playing against him more often is going to help people a lot. Someone is dying there to that life of the party because of the positioning and how you're going to end up taking a Phoenix or a Fountain Tick on top of the damage from the ultimate itself. But don't let him use the whole ult. Don't let him get those ticks off on the further people. Jump in front, man. Jump on the grenade. Take the stun. Take the spill. Win the game. I don't know if that would have been enough, but I've got a feeling that NRG's going to be kicking themselves for a little bit, especially if they end up losing this one.
Now, if Dignitas do win this game, a lot of the times, we come out, we say our spiel, and then we ask you guys to vote in the MVP poll, right? That's something that we ask you all
we do that.
to do. I feel as though that would be superfluous at this point, right? If Dignitas somehow win this game, it should be variety in all 5 slots. It should be 100%, and we should all be, I don't know, blowing that man up on social media or something, because clearly he's nuts. What a play to keep this Titan just barely standing.
It was a great play, yes. But at the same time, he did just kind of respawn and press 4. I mean,
but that's what his abilities do.
I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right, and he absolutely should be MVP if Dignitas win. But still, so
Sure.
I feel like the onus is a little bit more on NRG at that point.
To make sure that they clean that one up properly. And by no means do I think that the ball is back in Dignitas' court here. I think NRG are still the ones that are sort of in the driver's seat here.
Yes.
They should be the ones sieging and have a chance very much to win this game. But, I mean, NRG held out for like 4 sieges last game. It is not impossible to do. Dignitas certainly have that chance. And they don't have an open path. There's still a lot of tier 2 towers, fully healed Phoenixes on NRG's side, so it won't be easy. But it's way easier than if this game was already over.
I mean, it only takes a little bit longer for that right side Phoenix to come up, and NRG doesn't have Fire Giant because Dignitas took it from them on the respawn.
Right.
So that means that they don't have that great tower damage. I mean, they still have emilitoo, who's going to do great tower damage, but it's not enhanced by Fire Giant. He doesn't have a 3K pot. Remember, new 3K pots do give you extra structure damage. Those aren't on the table yet for NRG, as they've just now finished off their 6 items in a lot of cases. 500 potions are starting to come through, but 3K still a little bit away. I think this right side Phoenix is respawning Finch, and once that happens, that means the Titan is starting to heal.
That means that all that damage they got onto it's not even going to be worth it anymore. And NRG, they don't even feel like trying to siege into this Fire Giant. It feels like they went and pushed up the waves, yes, to try and keep those pushed up and get their farm where they could, but they're coming back, settling for Pyromancer here, waiting for that 2.5 minutes for the Fire Giant to come back. They're not trying to siege into this. Dignitas getting plenty of time to farm up, finishing off all those items. They're 6 slotted across the board, level 20s. I mean, Dignitas are ready to rock just as much as NRG.
Man, and this is where NRG is like, okay, we got it. It's cool. We're good. And then you just kind of sit in silence for the next 5 minutes.
Right.
Like, we know there's nothing we could do right now, so let's just...
It would be nice to have something to fight about or talk about or do in the game, right? This is that time you can kind of stew a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like Yammyn and Emil are living together alongside EmilZy. It's like, yo, is it cool if I do laundry after this? Like, just anything.
Anything, yeah.
Anything at all. Like, what do you guys want for dinner later tonight? Just something to get your mind off of that rough last little happening.
And it's variety that's given them this
NRG is sitting here. They don't want to push
They
forward.
don't.
Because now the game is even. I mean, right side Phoenix has respawned. Titan's is getting healthier by the second. Sure, NRG has a weakened Phoenix they can go to. Sure, Dignitas has some towers to take down. But in a 5-on-5 fight in the lane, none of that matters. And Dignitas has every reason to be able to win it as NRG does, if not more, because they have FG.
And I was saying that I thought that NRG still had all the advantage here in this fight. That's because, Phoenix is down, Fire minions are pouring in, right? You can go try and force fights and split the focus of Dignitas. This is far less true if they wait for all that to get equalized out, right?
Right.
And have this next fight on the Fire Giant. This, I agree, it's going to feel like a relatively even fight between these two.
I don't like the fact that NRG didn't just respawn and shove it down left lane. You know,
Right.
with that right side, it was coming up soon. Variety was there to defend it. You have to make Dignitas make a choice at that point. Either come defend left with full force or lose right side Phoenix or lose the fight, and we'll be able to end the game off of it. It feels like NRG came out a little gun shy, which is uncharacteristic. We were just talking about how emilitoo is a character that makes mistakes and is willing to, is able to get that out of his mind very quickly, have that quarterback mentality, to use a sports cliche, and then be able to turn it around and play well after that. I feel like NRG shied off the gas a bit when really they should have been putting the pedal to the metal.
It's Dignitas, though, who are playing with house money, if you think about it. They already kind of should have lost, right? And have been given this second life to play with. It's NRG who should have closed this out. So all the pressure, you feel like it's on the shoulders of NRG, not just because this set would end if there were one more loss. Variety did back, though, and teleport in. That means it's maniaK who could potentially have a second life here and not Variety.
We saw that earlier in this game. maniaK, I don't think, was punished for it, but we'll see if Variety is another Fire Giant fight. Now, this is the area of the map where Dignitas' fight is substantially worse than that of NRG's, because Janus is just so much better than any other god on either team at fighting in the jungle. So there is some advantage, as emilitoo is just trying to keep pressure on that mid Phoenix at this point.
emilitoo continuing, I feel like, to just kind of separate from the rest of the squad and do his own thing at this point, as emilZy goes right up into the air through space and time, does come through and clip several members. Arkkyl very low in the backside, and Yammyn has got to be calling out that I hit somebody. Time to put the foot on the gas. QvoFred comes from emilitoo, but he's going to keep focusing onto the Phoenix. He hasn't brought it down just yet, but has maniaK here.
Emil falls, doesn't get the Phoenix. maniaK will end up finishing it off, so NRG at least get what they wanted, but that was close, dangerously close now for NRG as maniaK under siege. Life of the party, gonna bring him on back. Variety with the invitation, but can't quite find it.
Yeah, maniaK is going to be pulled right back in. One more time, Variety finds a nice pull here to be able to set everything up for the team and find one more kill. maniaK and emilitoo now both go down, and Dignitas are the ones with 5 members still strong. They're forcing right on through to grab some towers here in the middle lane. Yammyn trying to keep this pushed up, trying to find some Phoenixes separate from the team, but the rest of Dig are just going to push.
Qvo can't quite find Yammyn. Dignitas barreling down the mid lane. Still 20+ seconds on emilitoo, so not a lot of time, but enough potentially to get this Phoenix.
And remember, they do still have Zyrhoes and Arkkyl, a ton of damage they can put in onto these structures. Adapting trying to get in, but it's Yammyn looping in from the backside. Unseeable Vortex gets good damage onto Arkkyl. Adapting, trying to find an opening as well, but no one that he can lock down. Dig are going to regroup and look for one more push.
Heal coming through from Variety, gets everyone nice and healthy. Life of the party as well. Adapting, brought right back into the teeth of the team. He is going to fall to Qvo.
QvoFred finds the kill. Mid-Phoenix comes tumbling down. QvoFred jumps in aggressive. He's got emilZy locked down, but one leap allows him to escape. Just like that, Dignitas now have found a Phoenix of their own. Both mid-Phoenixes are down. Dignitas are keeping this game close.
This is some Tyson Ali nonsense, man. I'll tell you what, it's just big punch after big punch from both sides. NRG try and split the map. They use this global ultimate and use emilitoo's map pressure to try and get a Phoenix. They get it, but it ends up costing them 2 members. maniaK teleporting in right here on Fire Giant when it's already low. Dig able to secure it through space, and time nearly kills Variety.
But Yammyn comes through with a big shot. That's going to push Variety back. The rest of NRG Esports have got to find some kind of recourse after giving up the big-time objective. Arkkyl just barely makes it out. NRG can find no way to make Dignitas pay. They are out, and Fire Giant is theirs.
Beautiful disengage from Dignitas, and right side Phoenix getting low, but it won't fall, even if they didn't come here to defend. NRG get just the worst consolation prize in the Pyromancer at this point in the game. No one cares about that, as it's all about Dignitas now with this Fire Giant buff. Now, if you do, I think you are tempted as Dignitas to waste a little bit of this time getting these side towers, because you're at the point where if you get a borderline end call, you want that Titan to be as squishy as possible, and those towers will get in your way of ending the game potentially if it's close, if it's a 4-on-2 or a 3-on-1 or something in that realm. You also want to make sure that your mid wave is pushed, and they have the advantage in that their Phoenix fell first, so that means it will respawn first, and the enemy won't have fire minions quite as long as you. but I really like what I'm seeing here. Zyrhoes on one side, Qvo on the other. Don't push too far forward by yourself, because look at where NRG is coming. Maybe trying to get a cheeky pick onto Dignitas here, but you want to put at least some amount of pressure on these towers. Phoenixes are risky at this point, but you did it in the last game, right? You were able to get there eventually.
42 minutes here as Trixtank gets caught out by himself by the Gold Fury. emilitoo looking for shots, but really can't find any damage onto Trixtank. That was an opportunity to definitely try and punish Dig, but instead, they'll get a chance to just regroup. They'll pay no price.
Trixtank tried to get away and plucked Gold Fury by accident and kind of stopped him in his tracks. Love Trix's build. So focused on getting that magical defense.
That guy's cloak gets popped here from adapting, rather, in that middle lane. QvoFred recognizing the opportunity. Tier 2 tower in left should come down in Dignitas' favor. The rest of the team pushing down mid. Only one tower remaining and only 2 Phoenixes. They shouldn't have too hard of a time with this Titan now, with these structures that are standing, but the NRG gets to make a full 5-on-5 defense this time.
Qvo not worried about that right side tower in the defense of not taking it down. At this point, if you win a team fight, you've won the game. No matter what. I mean, there could be every other tower in mid and right, and you'd still be able to end if you win this cleanly. So there is an argument to maybe it's not worth your time. Instead, Qvo's going to make sure that the Titan is under pressure from these fire minions in mid.
The rest of NRG Esports have to be here to try and defend this left side siege. QvoFred looking for a position to try and wrap around on the back end of this fight, and Yammyn went back to defend. Zyrhoes have been brought down pretty low, about half HP, but he has some sustain in the kit and the Fire Giant. He should be okay.
No problem at all. Zyrhoes has Bancroft's talent as well. He'll be able to get to full health very quickly.
Oh, and a Baron.
And a Baron. So yeah, no worries there for Zyrhoes.
Zyrhoes does indeed look to be topped off again. As look at QvoFred's positioning. He even wants to be ready to take down this Phoenix if it were to respawn, if need be, as he's that far down into the mid Phoenix. He's now looping back around the left side. They're ready to push go here on the left side. Phoenix maniaK jumps in. That does force them back for now, but Yammyn gets caught out by QvoFred. This could be huge. Aegis keeps him alive for the moment.
And Shell adapting has ultimate. Snipes not there from Arkkyl, but that may have opened the door on this left-hand side.
They are going to push here. Arkkyl has to use the Aegis. No space and time! Eradicates him, Arkkyl. We will see you later. emilZy with the transformation, and adapting finds the sash. Team Dignitas running away with their tail between their legs, but QvoFred finds mid.
Qvo's dead here. No, bad time rift there from emilitoo, and that may have let Qvo off the hook. Now, very unlikely that Qvo will be able to get away from this. Indeed, will eventually fall, but did get the mid Phoenix left.
Wow.
Still standing. And the big thing here is, you see this a lot. I had to learn this term in Paladins when I was doing some casting over there, but these are staggered deaths now.
Yes.
This is 30 seconds between these 2 deaths, which means that's a 30-second window that NRG has to have at least a man advantage, and they still have the 2-man advantage right now. So push it down mid, get that Phoenix back in response, and try and keep those fire minions off of your Titan.
That is going to be the idea here from NRG. They're grouping up and trying to push down mid. This is the best one to push anyway, since this is where those minions could be going through their own weakened Phoenix. But Dignitas still have variety, Trixtank, and Zyrhoes. They've got a fair bit of damage and control to try and defend between this Baron and the Soul.
Yammyn's ultimate onto Arkkyl there was like watching the train come down the tracks, right? It was an inevitability at that point.
It was great timing from him as well, as mid Phoenix looks like paper here up against emilitoo. The Chronos is enough to shred it, but now Arkkyl has rejoined the world of the living. 4-member strong. NRG can no longer afford to surge in, so it looks like that loss won't be the game here yet for Dignitas. They will have yet another chance. Fire Giants should be respawning as well.
Everyone gets a chance to take a breath, except Zyrhoes, who just ate his entire health bar out of Yammyn. That does mean that this won't be up for Fire Giant if Dignitas wants to try and contest, but it forced Zyrhoes back to base, so worthwhile.
That's so important. That won't mean their best
Arkyl's
point
up.
of contest won't be here. Arkkyl look for snipe.
Dig
got it! They take away the Fire Giant, and they're going to make a clean disengage as well. What is going on?
Trixtank, what he just... Y'all mind if I take this Fire Giant for myself? Yoinks it, and then is able to just skirt right towards his own team. No worries whatsoever, and NRG just sits there, hands empty. You know, what happened?
And Ryan, the more you gotta believe this game should have ended 20 minutes ago.
I know.
The crazier that this game gets, right? Every single thing that doesn't tick NRG's way has extra weight on it. It has the weight of we shouldn't even have to be doing this, because they were there. They're in the Titan room up against 4 members there. This should be over. Dignitas are playing with house money.
And they're cashing in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me tell you, they're looking great. here in this one, and this is a fight that they're going to try and go for again. Now this time they're on the disadvantage of when that mid Phoenix respawns, they will still have to be dealing with fire minions, and Quvo will be able to waltz in and get that quite as easily.
Pushing down the left-hand side one more time. Let's give this another try is the plan from Dig. QvoFred is going to keep mid lane pushed up one more time to try and pull the focus. Relics available for just about everyone as well, so it should be relatively easy for some of these carries to disengage if they need to.
Unstable Vortex, you'll see Yammyn sit there the entire game, and during all of these sieges, this is where all mid laners, this is their home. This is where they hang out, just tossing out those pot shots, and so Dignitas needs to make sure they're hugging that right-hand side so they don't get poked.
maniaKK goes in first as that front line takes a fair bit of poke and doesn't put out very much of his own. Adapting is still not going to be a part of this fight on the left-hand side. He's got to worry about Quvo. Variety and Trixtank are the ones looking to see if they can find a pluck, if they can find a way to get this ball rolling and take down this Phoenix.
Quvo really just making Adapting nervous here in the mid lane, a stare down between the two. Left Phoenix is already down to half. maniaKK gonna get his transform off as emilZy's going in.
emilZy wants that Draconic Corruption. He does get the transform through space and time, finds no one this time, so Dignitas can live a little bit easier now, breathe a little bit easier. No, they don't have to worry about that big ultimate. QvoFred wants Yammyn, but can't find him. Last Breath is gonna hit home, and this time Yammyn has nowhere to go. The auto attack hits in too, and Yammyn goes down.
He had it. He had the Aegis and didn't use it. Yammyn gets killed for free. Now left side, emilZy loses his Draconic Corruption. emilitoo's got to use the rewind as up to the sky goes Arkkyl.
He's looking for the shots, but not really going to find anybody that's in lethal threshold. QvoFred left alone in mid still. He can keep pushing up minions. Left side Phoenix is going to come down. QvoFred should be able to grab mid Phoenix as well. 5v4, Fire Giant for Dignitas, and a game that should have been over already. They just might be able to take it.
Heartbreak for NRG right now. This catastrophic is the only word that comes to mind. Dig not even worried about this right side. Pluck onto maniaKK. He is going to fall right away. Sash onto Zyrhoes and an ultimate, but it was a clutch shell from Trix.
That should be enough to keep Zyrhoes alive once he comes back down. The heal's going to come out as well. Adapting down. emilZy and emilitoo, the only ones that can defend. They have to jump back. QvoFred, Cobra's Kiss in the fountain. A little more damage from Baron. Team Dignitas take game 2 and the set over NRG.
An absolute nightmare for NRG. I mean, it all starting, of course, with being able to end the game, and they can't, is Variety's able to defend. And then Yammyn gets 1v1, had both relics up, and just didn't use them. I don't know. That is, I don't know what happened there. Obviously, Yammyn, that doesn't happen to him very often.
Yeah.
But that is a heartbreaking loss for NRG because, sure, in the grand scheme of things, it's week 1 of the fall split. We got plenty of time. But now you're 0-2 against your 2 top opponents. It's not just that you're 0-2, but they have wins in those columns. So it's basically like losing 2 games.
That really is tough. Those are points that I don't think you can get back. But in this point, what they're really going to need is for one of those teams to lose to a team that they shouldn't, right? To like an SK or something like that at this point, because you can't, they lost. It's over. Those points are gone. I mean, you got to go back to that point on the Titan, right, when they should have won, when Variety makes that huge play to just barely keep them in it.
Huge. I mean, that's why, that's the F7 Warriors' whole argument, right? Is
giving them all the fodder they
like
need, right?
that right there. Variety, we already said it. If Dignitas was going to win, you better be voting for Variety for MVP, and I don't think that the next 25 minutes or whatever it was did anything to change that in my mind.
No, absolutely not. That was way down on my decision tree, on my branching narrative of scenarios that could come up, but apparently we are here, and you all have got to vote for Variety. You have no other options.
Legally.
I hope that that's what's in all 5 of those boxes.
It's in the contract. You're not allowed to vote for anyone else.
That's in the rulebook. We're going to come find you or something. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Coop's going to hunt you down.
That's
so
right. Yeah, he might find you. Yeah, you saw him get that Infinity Gauntlet, right? He was tweeting about it or something.
Lord.
You definitely don't want to have to deal with that, but we're going to go ahead and get it back over to the desk and let him break it down.
Variety showed up. Just like that, Dignitas take it. Really fun stuff. I had to go for it after the I just saw the movie, okay?
You just wanted to do the snap.
I did, and also that was a good, crisp, like, you know what I mean? All right. Taco's better
Now
at
just
me.
showing off.
Taco's better at me than everything, but whatever. Dignitas, shout outs to Variety. I mean, this guy really, really made it happen, not just with the Titan defense, but the well play, the strong play of the control mage, as I will continue to call Baron Samedi. This was the performance that I've been waiting for, because like we said, I think he's kind of overvalued by teams, and they're kind of shoving him into everything, but Variety here really made it happen. Also, P.S., just barely under top damage?
This is the part that I think all of us were kind of just waiting for. The match where Baron actually had a chance to really stand out, and it all kind of just takes off from that Titan defense. I think that NRG, it was just a little bit of mental fortitude from Dignitas this time around, because not only were they able to withstand all of those failed Phoenix attempts in the first game, but then they had to deal with the second game, nearly losing their Titan and the match and having to go to a game 3 only to come back and in the end be the victors over NRG as they fall in yet another 2-0 set.
And you know what's interesting? Team Dignitas are known for a lot of things, but their ability to stay headstrong in bad situations, not exactly what these 5 individuals are known for. So really nice to see them as a unit sort of change their game and be able to play from behind. What a surprise! Harry Cummings is going to be your MVP. This play was a big deal. Able to go ahead, secure the double kill right underneath the Titan. And look at this. I mean, down to the last play, man. Him and Arkkyl just make it happen.
The main reason why that was so pivotal as well is because of the fact that Variety pulled a maniac. He could have pulled in just about anybody else there, but because he got maniac, there was no one left to tank up that Titan and absorb the blows from the Baron. So throughout the remainder of that engagement, it was all just for Dignitas to come rolling back through NRG.
Yeah, really fun to watch. Those are the types of games that I really do like to see the comeback at a professional level. I think that there's something to be said there that, you know, the best team will win. It doesn't matter what's going on. If you can find the defensive set, if you can make it happen, absolutely. Dignitas played a defensive set. Game 1, they defended their Phoenix, 6-7 times in 50 minutes? And then game 2, they defended their Titan down to 4% HP. I mean, that's a new side of Team Dignitas that I don't think we're as used to seeing.
I think that this is also a very promising sign from Dignitas, however. I mean, it might be a little bit too soon to tell, of course, because we still have the entirety of the fall split to witness before we can really make a hard decision, I think. But for right now, I mean, that was probably one of the best sets you could possibly ask for Dignitas to perform in.
Coming up next, we've got one more on the docket for today. It's going to be Team Rival taking on Obey Alliance. You're not going to want to miss this. Stay tuned for the Smite.